What are some common mistakes that you think most startups make when it comes to scaling a business, and how can they be avoided? I think I think this is a terrific question because I think that there's always this tension about, with a startup, you always feel like you've got to be going super fast. And I think that was one of the things that we at Zarly felt like all the time we had to be going super, super fast. And that's kind of what makes startups great is that they go at warp-neck speed, breakneck speed, trying to do things really quickly. But I think the risk can come in is if you scale faster than you're ready to. And I think that was one of the things that I spoke about earlier a little bit is one of the things that we learned in a marketplace in particular is that you're scaling both sides of the transactions that people will love you. And I think that was the lesson in a lot of my experiences in scaling marketplaces particularly is that we found that some relationships we were able to scale and that relationship in that area was going great, but others of them were not. So for example, we found that our buyers really loved Zarly. They loved what they could get. They loved how they could put in a request and just get it. But our buyers, they weren't as bought into, or excuse me, our sellers, the seller community wasn't as bought into it. And that was one of the reasons why we unveiled storefronts, which is really to take those amazing sellers that we found and give them a way to be more invested in our platform, really plugged in and buy into it. And from there, we've seen those sellers keep bringing more and more buyers. So I think that was probably the important thing for sure is to understand, when you're going to scale something, make sure you have all of the pieces nailed in a pretty good order or a really clear path to get them scaled. I think that's probably a big thing is, to really map out from, point zero when the transaction starts all the way through point 442, whatever it might be, and really understand are there other things that need to optimize, the other things that need to change. And I think if you can really do that and say like, all right, we've got all of these things and they're all working perfectly, then I think you can start to scale. And they're never going to be working perfectly, mind you, but to the point they're optimized in some way, shape, or form, great. I think that's one of the things that we really saw is that one little piece, maybe the seller relationship, the seller commitment isn't there, which is one of the things that we found is we couldn't get the sellers willing to pay on our platform all the time. And we tried and iterated, but that wouldn't scale very well. And so I think that's it, is find those pieces, really map out all of the places where you can have drop-off or challenges and understand like, all right, what is the problem here? How do we nail it? And once you have it nailed, then really think about scaling for sure.